Good evening, beautiful people, and a very warm welcome. Happy Sunday to you all. This is Olayinka Omotayo, aka Mrs. Pham, and this is Real Talk with Mrs. Pham on Kosoro Radio on the Evergreen channel. Welcome to a space where we just don't talk, we speak the truth, we heal, and we grow together. First, let me appreciate all our single listeners, all of you listening from Nigeria, from UK, from Italy, from Ireland, from anywhere that you're listening from. We just want to appreciate you, your calls, your messages, your voice notes. We see all the growth and we feel the love. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you for trusting me. Thank you for supporting this platform. And to our incredible producer behind the scenes, thank you for your dedication and your consistency. For those joining us for the first time, I'm a qualified social worker. I've spent years supporting children, supporting adults with disabilities, people from broken homes, people who are street homeless, people who are experiencing homelessness, people who walk on the street, different people with different traumas. So today, we're going to be speaking of something that is not just theory, but it's real life. Now listen, this platform is growing and people are paying attention. If you have a business, a service, a product you want us to talk about and you want the whole world to hear about, this is your space. Don't just watch the growth, be part of it. So let's reach out and let's grow together. And as you already know, we just don't talk, we vibe as well. Now, let's get into the topic. The silent pain of a broken home, how family breakups affect children. Now, let me ask you, why are children suffering for decisions they never made? Why do children have to suffer for decisions that they have not made themselves? Why do we act like this is fine when things are breaking up inside? Why do adults act like there's nothing going on when in fact they know that what is happening in the home is affecting their children? Let's talk about the emotional part of it. Children see everything. Everything that happens in the home, children see it. They feel the absence, they hear the blame, they carry the confusion, but they stay quiet. And that silence comes with a lot of pain. They stay quiet, but they come with a lot of pain. So we're going to open the lines right now. We want people to call in to send their messages. We want people to share with us if they have lived through this experience or they are going through it. This is a safe place, but your voice matters. I'm not in this alone. In the studio, I'm not with my guest, but she's going to be calling us via WhatsApp. So she's going to be joining us now. I'm joined by someone who is very special, someone who has consistently supported this platform and grown with us. Her presence and insight have truly added to this show. Please welcome Abimbola Oveje. She's joining us live by WhatsApp from London while we are here in Manchester. Abimbola, thank you for not just being here today, but for your continued support and presence. We truly appreciate you. Hello and welcome.
Hello, good afternoon from London. Thank you, Mrs. Pham.
Thank you so much. Let's start from here. Why do you think children are always the silent victims when relationship breaks down? Should I repeat that?
No. It's quite clear. To be honest with you, I'm trying to, as you were talking, I was trying to rephrase the question so that I can. So why do children have to suffer for?
Why do you think children are the silent victims when the relationship? Why are they the silent victims? Yeah.
So if they're silent victim, it means they're suffering somewhat in a way. They're suffering for the mistake or mishap between two grown-ups who decided to come together, marry, and have them as children, right?
Yes.
So
Some are
the
not married.
reason I feel let's for the sake of this platform, let's say two people coming together. So if they're not married, then there should not be a problem if they're splitting. You understand? But let's say for a typical home, married people who have children and the children are the silent sufferers. The truth of the matter is, if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? There's a general say that. You understand?
Yes, I'm with
But
you.
when grown up don't know their role, sometimes
Mm.
when they fail to understand that this is my position, then you're content for what is not yours. You understand? So when a position is clearly defined, when the woman knows that I'm the woman and the man knows that I'm the man, when there is conflict, your role, your awareness of your role will help you to navigate it the right way. But if the both of you are two strong heads and stuff like that, and the children embody pain
They
from
do.
parents.
They do. They do.
They embody what you're going through. They
Very well.
soak it in. You understand?
They do.
And
Yes,
sometimes, no
you're right.
matter how you mask it, especially from mother to them. And that is why when I talk to people who are married, I always say something. Not that I am indifferent about the men. I always tell parents when they are going through stuff, I speak to the mother mainly. Whatever you think you're covering up, or you're being bold, you're being confident, like I don't want my child to know. They know
They do.
because why?
Yes.
They fed from you for 9 months. They fed from you for 9 months.
So they know so many things. Thank you for that. So what kind of emotional damage what kind of emotional damage do these children carry that people don't see?
Loneliness.
Loneliness.
So sometimes this loneliness is from, excuse me, being unheard, their voice being silenced. Because when I say they embody, one of the ways a child can embody parents' pain is by feeling like, I don't want to bother my mom. I don't want to bother my dad.
My dad. So things like, I don't want to bother my mom, I don't want to bother my dad, I don't want them to feel like I'm not appreciative of the love that I've been given.
Okay, sorry, I had to cough.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's
so
fine.
What I was saying is, so sometimes children think they're helping us by keeping quiet.
You're right.
So they're going through stuff, but because they can see what you're doing, they can see. That's why you don't need to even tell your child, with all the things I've been through for you. They know, they can see. They know when the home is hot.
And is that why they stay silent?
And
just because they don't want to
they stay silent. They stay silent because they feel like this man has enough problem. I don't want to be part of it.
Very well.
They don't understand to navigate their emotions.
That's fine. So when they now stay silent, what happens to that child when they grow up and they feel they are being abandoned by one parent? What eventually happens to them? Can we call the other parent the absent one, if I can use that word? What happens to that child when they grow up feeling abandoned by one parent?
A child that feels abandoned because of conflict in the home, or whether the father eventually left or the mother left, that kind of a child grow up being a broken child. They're in a relationship,
that's a strong word.
They're broken in the spirit. And because they are broken, they never learned how to express their emotion. They grew up, from childhood suppressing their emotions. So when they're in a relationship, that play out too. It play out because that's the only thing. That's a coping mechanism for them. And that is why in a home sometimes, the one that is the avoidant, the one that does not like when there's conflict, just want to shut down, just want to be on their own instead of them to speak up, is from when they were little, because that's the only way they knew how to navigate.
Very well.
So they are broken. And for someone that is broken, you need to be fixed. You need to go for therapy.
And when a parent disappears and comes back after many years, what does that do emotionally to that child?
Well, it messes them up. When you are out of the relationship,
they're confused, and
their life, it messes their brain up. Now, not because they don't know that you've always been in existence, what happens is when you come back the wrong way, there's nothing wrong with it, this parent going and coming back. But when you come back expecting Rome that was not built in a day to become a city,
Are
is
they
a
coming
problem.
back for
Because
that
what you're
child?
doing,
Are they coming back
they're
for
not
that
coming
child, or
back
they're
because
just
they
coming back
themselves
to
are
ease their
empty.
own guilt?
Yeah, they're empty, so they're trying to fill that empty space.
Because
So
I
if
want to
they,
get that balance. Are they actually coming back for
yeah,
that child, or they're coming back to ease their own guilt?
essentially they're not coming back for the child essentially. Well, maybe for the child, but for the greater reason is that there is their own benefits is to fill that void because there's a space, there's an empty space in them. So which the
So they want
only
to
child, the
fill that
presence of the
space.
child, they want to fill that space. It could be financial space, it could be the space of belonging. Now they are grown, they've seen their friends with grown children, how their children honor them, and they lack that. And the validation is not there for them.
But on the
And
other side,
maybe,
on the other
all of,
side, sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you, but on the other side, having said that, are some parents using their children as weapon against each other?
Well, I don't want to say that because that is open for debate. The reason that it is not a generalized statement in the African community,
But do
when a
some people
child
do
is
that?
grown,
Because I've seen some
I
people
don't
do
know.
that.
I can, well, maybe you can answer that then before. From my
Yes, maybe I
angle
should
as
answer that
growing
myself
up,
then, because I have seen
yeah,
some
if you,
parents
okay,
using their children as weapon against their partners or their husbands or their exes, just because they're no longer together, and that's the only way they feel they can hit hard at that person and deprive that person, the other person, of contacting,
and I
communicating
may
with
want
these
to cut you in
children.
there.
Yeah,
I may
I
want to
know of
cut
two
you.
or three
You can
examples.
only you can only use a child as a weapon. You can only weaponize them when they're little.
But they have been used
You can
regardless
only
at some
no
point.
wait. You can and for me, I don't think it's the word weaponize intentionally. The reason is because the mom is broken, and most time when men are speaking to this
You're
child, the
broken
money
because
is
of a
not part of
relationship
it.
you have with your partner, not because of the child against
Yeah,
his daddy
that's
or
what
the
I'm saying.
mommy.
If
I
you
like this.
okay, wait. So the woman is broken from the relationship,
Yes,
and the woman is looking after the child.
yes.
Let's flip it. What
Or
if
it
the
could be
man
the
is the
man.
man?
It could be.
Wait,
It
wait.
could be
What if
both ways.
yeah? What if it's the man that is looking after the child? Will the man allow the child to also make and have relationship
Some
with the
do. Some
child
use it
and not speak
against.
to them?
Some use the
So
children
that's why I
against
said
as
this
well. So
is
it's two
not
ways.
it's not a generalized thing. Sometimes what you're generally doing is just protecting your peace, but you're unaware that you're weaponizing the children against them. And you can only do that for a certain period. You can't do it for so long.
Yeah.
And most people weaponize their children against their partner, they get beaten afterwards. It will bite them back.
So we're
Because
not
the
saying that
child
this
will
is
do the
general.
same.
It's just that do some people do it, which I said I can give
I
examples.
feel
Yes.
like some people
So
may
in a
do
way, you
it,
kind
but
of
I feel like
agreed,
yeah.
but
Maybe
not
I
all the
think
way.
so.
But yeah,
Maybe
it
I think I
happens.
agree.
You kind of agreed, but not all the way. So when people do this, it is actually damaging. But you know what? Some people lie as well. Are you with me on this? Just to win the child's love. So this lie can come from the father or the mother against the mother or the father. Are you with me on that as well?
Yeah, to be honest with you, all these things can only coexist when the child is at a certain age. And for me, I don't think
Some
it's
may
a
not
yardstick
agree, but this
for
needs to be said.
yeah, well, no. It needs to be said, but for me, I don't think it's a major problem. You know why? Because it's something that happened
You
for
mean
is a
lying
phase.
against somebody to your child is not a major problem?
It's not a major problem because he always bounce back. Go and look at the
But before
history
it
of
does,
anyone.
but before it
Let me tell
bounces back, a lot of things would have been damaged. This child would have a negative impression against the other party before they now come back, maybe years after, to maybe after the child might have, they have their own thinking, they have capacity, on their own to think of, what is good or what
yeah,
is
but
wrong.
okay.
But what
This
about
this is
those
the thing.
years from, let's say, 5 to 20 or 18 or 16, thereabouts? That's a lot of years.
At the age of 16, you can no longer manipulate a child. No, you can't. You can only manipulate a child when they're in the single digits, and not in this age. Before a child becomes double digits, you can do it and win. If not, the child will look at you one day. You know why? Because they say tongue and teeth, they fight.
They do,
So even
yes.
though you're the one living with the child, you would have had moments where you butt head. You don't listen. And once in a while, you don't know the child sits down to say, I wish my dad was here. So you can only do it successfully when they are in one single digit. Most people that I know that have tried to work on the emotion of the children against their partner, they always end up being on the victim side, because you will get beaten. Because
At some point, because they will come around and know the truth.
They'll come around.
Maybe not all. Maybe not everyone knows the truth.
You know, let me tell you, the ones that generally don't know are the ones that their parents, the one who looked after them genuinely, was not at fault. Because the truth will always come out. You can't really cover the truth.
So and how does this affect their relationship in the future?
Oh dear. Hey, Mrs. Pam, I like the fact that you are. I know you wanted us to cover this. The way you're just coming with all this question left, right, and center. The truth of the matter is, for a relationship, I said it. Anyone who grew up in a very unwanted environment, that the emotion has been broken, people like that don't know how to love their partner if you're not careful. Because what you are doing, if you're spoiling your partner for your child,
yes,
what you're also doing is you're not teaching the child to know how to receive and give love. Because all the child grew up to know is, when something is wrong, just talk bad, yeah.
Maybe this is why we are sick. Maybe this is why we are seeing cycle of broken homes.
Sorry to cut in. Sometimes,
no problem.
Some of them don't know how to receive and give love, and sometimes some of them overgive love. They don't know how to, and that could also be negative.
Is that trying to make up for something they haven't done?
It's trying to make up. Yes,
okay,
they're trying to get the love, all the things, what they envision a family to look like, forgetting that the person they are married to, also from another family, has been brought up in a certain way. What do they call it? Love bomb someone. And if you love bomb someone too much,
say that word again. Sorry.
Love bomb.
Love bomb.
You know.
Okay.
Bomb as in bomb.
Love bomb. Okay. Yeah. I haven't heard
so
that before.
So if you love bomb someone, so if you
that's
love
a new
bomb
word.
Someone, as you know, every time you just want to show them love, every time you just want to, the realness, it takes away the realness. And most time, people like that find themselves in that extreme world, they find it hard to keep a relationship for long, because the person they're in a relationship with will be paranoid. Like, is this true? This is too good to be true. This is not real.
You're right.
So, and then they realize that they are jumping from one relationship. That's why you see some people say, oh, people that they are normal friends, like, trust me, if you just give that person a chance, they're so good. But they're so good. You can only know they're so good because you're just ordinary friends. But the moment they're in a relationship, they want to be everything that they didn't get when they were young.
So where do we draw the line then? So where do we draw the line between honesty and overexposure? I mean, what is the right way to communicate separation to a child? How do we communicate that separation to them?
I still like to use myself as a case to communicate separation.
Sorry, we lost you for about a second there. Did you say you were going to use yourself as an example?
I was going to use myself as an example.
Okay.
So as much as can be, I do not like to use myself as an example when I'm talking about things like this.
Right.
Yes. So my child was 9 years when my marriage broke. And fast forward, he was a child that was very curious, wants to know everything. The bond with the father, all he ever known is my parents are in love. We've never argued in front of him. We've never had to do anything odd in front of him. And now, father is gone. So for about a year or two or even more, all I told him was, work has taken father away for now. You know, and that's something I had to say. And not to me, by the time he turned, I think 10, 11, he already found out that it wasn't work. Father had already gone. And he made him respect me, the fact that I wanted to shield him away from that hurt.
Okay.
I wanted him to have the honor that your father loved you. So the moment The day he confronted the situation, I didn't beat around the bush. I said, yes, this is the situation we're in. But look, it's not an excuse for you to be sad or to not do well or to feel like you are not getting what you want. I said, up until now, have you missing anything? So allow the child to speak to you. You
Very
understand?
well.
So, and then I had to open up and say, look, whatever happened between us, as much as I know you don't like it, it is between us. You understand?
Very well. So
Till
I
date, I
appreciate that
never
you're
told the
able to
child.
share this.
You
So
understand?
that's a
So
mindset that has changed in a way.
everybody should have that because the truth is the child cannot be your solicitor. The child cannot do anything for you. The conversation of a child and the person or the partner who left is different to the one that you are supposed to be having with them. They
Hmm.
can't fight your battle. So if they have to have a conversation with them, it should be on a different ground.
It should be on a
Nothing to
different
do with
ground.
you. Yes, on a
So,
different ground.
so are you
For
saying
their own mental health as
for
well.
their own mental health? So, how can absent parents rebuild the trust then? How can they rebuild the trust? Because some are absent not because they want to be absent, but things happen in relationships where it is just
Let me not
best.
lie to you.
It is just
Every
best that
act,
people go their separate ways, but find a way to come together to look after the children. So how can they
my
rebuild the trust of many years of being absent in the life of
before
their
you can
children?
rebuild the trust,
Mm-hmm.
before you can rebuild the trust, you need to. You said something. You see this issue of it was best for them to go. It can be best when the child, is a child that doesn't have a personal phone yet. That child is solely being looked after. The only time you want to speak, like that means the only room for communication is calling your partner. And because of the damage that has been done, you don't want to communicate with the partner. You can excuse such absentee. Then they are not absent. It is what needed to be done. Lack of communication needed to happen because the child is not of age. But once the child have their own mobile phone, a means to communicate, there is nothing exempting a mother or a father that have left a relationship and left this child for the other partner to look after to communicate with their child. There is nothing stopping them. So building the trust is in the hands of the absentee, not the hand of the one that is in custody, not the custodian of the child.
But
Because you can't build a trust because I don't know the life the person is living. The person doesn't know. You understand? So if the child's mind have been prepped to say, your mother is a good person, she
yeah.
left us, I
But in
don't know,
some
but
cases, as
but
much as the person that has been absent, as much as they try to get in touch, to make contact, the one that is looking after the child, most times, not everyone, but a lot of
that's
people
why I say
still.
you didn't hear when I said, or maybe you missed that part because of the network. I said the only time I can excuse whether a woman or man is the absentee is when the child is still young and the only avenue to reach the child is through the phone of the one that they don't want to speak to. So, for example, if the lady is the one with the child and the child is still young, the lady can say, I don't want to speak to him because the child doesn't have a phone of his own. You understand? I don't want to speak to him. I don't want him to speak to my child. No matter how much the absentee father should just hold on to it and brace themselves because the child is growing. Once the child have a phone, you understand, there is nothing stopping the father.
The child
Except
that
you don't
has a
have,
phone but still lives with the mother.
but you
It's
can't
just
stop your child. Let me
I,
not lie
I
to
I
you.
I
You
want to
honestly you
remind you
can
that I'm
stop
a
your
social
child
worker
though.
and I do a lot of critiquing at Bimbola. So we can critique this from now to tomorrow. So if I have a child
No,
in my
the
home
truth is,
and the truth of the
yes,
matter is I no longer speak with the dad, but this child still lives with me, I still have that power. I don't like to use that word, but I still have that power over that child with that phone in my own house.
it depends on the age.
So
Like for
when that
example, now you
child is
can have
over,
power
maybe the
over.
child is over, even at 16, I still know parents, even when the child is 16, they still have that much influence of, if you speak to this
Your
person,
question was,
I will disown you. So I wanted to go back to that
yeah,
the topic about phone now that if the child has a phone, has access to phone, it doesn't still matter that you can still talk to that person if the mother doesn't want you to.
In that case, that's an extreme case.
So this is why we're talking on this show now. This is real talk, because these are things that are happening.
But I would like to. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So it may not happen to you directly. It's happening to other people. That this is extreme.
I'm not even speaking about me. I'm speaking in general now. That it's something that is debatable. It's a broad topic that no one can give an answer to them, because I can't give an answer to it. It's only for people who are in it that can speak for themselves. I'm just speaking in a general term that no matter how much you try to sabotage a relationship of the other parent with the child, you can only do it for so long, and you're not helping the child.
No, not at all.
You're grooming a broken man or woman, and they're going to have issue with their own marriage. And that is why you realize sometimes when these kids get married, they stay away from even the person who was their custodian, who had been their custodian for years, because why? It has been a toxic environment.
It has
and sometimes some children will go behind this parent that doesn't want them to speak to the other parent and look for their mother or look for their father. And sometimes it's genuinely the one wwho left. I know of an Hollywood actor that is well known to everyone, who says her mother lives on the same street with her, but she doesn't say hello to the mother because the mother abandoned her. Do you understand? So the
trauma is still there.
The trauma is there, and sometimes some things are irreconcilable. She does not speak with hate in her heart, but she just doesn't recognize the woman as her mom.
Because obviously maybe she wasn't there. Let me say this. Children may not speak, but they feel everything. They feel the absence. They know the lies, every broken promises, and one day they will heal from it. I believe one day they will heal from it.